good.
So you say is one of those Chevrolets?
It's a Fiat, Dale.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, guys? I'm Jared. Y'all have asked a lot of questions about the 4.0 swapped in the forum, so I'm going to go over mine to try and answer all these questions because I get a lot of questions every day, and at this point I'm going to have to start figuring out a solution to deal with that. So anyways, this is my 90 Bronco II. It has a 95 Explorer's motor with a 94 Explorer's wiring harness. I used all the engine bay harness, which is the engine harness, the headlight harness, and the ECU harness. And I tied it all into the Bronco II harness over here at the big white plug, which we're all familiar with. I believe it's a 62 pin. But it's down there, right there. It's held in with a 10mm bolt. So if any of y'all are having trouble getting them off, you know, there's a bolt in the middle of that. Don't break it off. So all the wiring in here is all from the Explorer, basically. Everything back behind that is all the Bronco II. I used the air breather. All this assembly is all from a 94. I changed the harness out to what I had to make this work because this is off a 95. The 94s would look differently. So this is from a 95, this is from a 94, and this is an extra elbow. I believe I had it already. And this is just a regular air breather. There's also a pipe that lets up air from under right there. So it is getting fresh air. It's not just pulling air from the engine bay for all the people that are gonna comment about that. And that's loose for that reason. My winch is set up over here. It's set up with the jumper cable that's all spliced in. You just connect over here. I don't like to leave it connect up. You can drain your battery out. It's just not good for them. I prefer it that way. Just my personal preference. The only thing I haven't gotten to on this is my AC, my air compressor or AC compressor right here. I don't have the AC lines in it for the from the Explorer, which I couldn't use the one that I already had. It doesn't line up. And I just replaced it on the 2.9 that I had on here previously, so that was super fun and a waste of time. But basically I'm gonna gut all that over there. I already have the one from the Explorer that I pulled out. It's gonna fit up pretty nicely. I've already got it all pretty set up. Just ready to go in, and then I'll wire the lines and re-hose it with the actual connectors from the Explorer, and we place the O-rings in it and then charge it all up. This was an automatic before, so you'll see the shift cables and stuff like that are still installed. I haven't cut any of that stuff out because I just haven't decided if it will permanently be that. So I might change it up and give this to somebody else that wants an automatic one day. I don't know. So I leave the option there, and without having to reroute it, I've just tucked it away. I have my NSS jumped over here, but I did have a manual computer put in, so I could take that out if I really wanted to. It's not affecting anything at this point. I had to redo the master cylinder. I had to pull the whole dash out, including the the brake system completely when I switched in the pedal system, which Daniel, if you walk over here. New door panels. The only thing I didn't replace was the seats. I got them out of another one. I really like that. I did the vinyl flooring, and it's also bed lined under it, which has rubberized undercoating. No rust on the inside before I did that, and I check it pretty frequently to make sure it's not wet. But going back, I would definitely have done things a little differently if I was doing one of these personally for myself again, or if I had somebody come to me and ask me to do one for them. 90 Rangers seem to be the easiest by far to do. A 90 to a 90 is almost minimal work to change. I went through a lot of wiring diagrams. The people that I've seen do this really well do it the way that I've shown. There are multiple ways to do this. Some people don't use the headlight harness. They tie it all into the fuse box over here. They hot run stuff, and I don't have a problem with that, but I wanted to be able to hook mine up to a code reader and everything work the way it's supposed to. And I honestly wanted to be able to take it to Ford one day and just drop it off for an oil change and laugh. But yeah, the doors, everything's in process right now. I'm gonna paint it. I'm just not in any rush because I really like the old paint on it, but I hated the electric doors. I deleted all that crap. My doors pop off. A lot of people have seen me do that. And post a picture and ask the question of how that works. Daniel, if you want to get in there, take a look at that. So basically those pins are just drilled out, and I just drop a bolt in there and one way and the other one goes the other way. You can put a nut on the end of it if you wanted to. I've never had them even try and come off once I get them on. So when I take them off, I just put a bicycle mirror in there and the cops leave me the hell alone. So it came like this. I didn't do that personally, but I'll do it to everyone that I own from this point on. I talked to the guy that did it, and he was the one that showed me how to take it off and put it on. And I would have never thought of just drilling it out like that. It's pretty genius. But yeah, let's see. Good. These are the Amazon headlights everybody's always asking about. Pretty straightforward. I have mine wired to a switch. You can wire it to any hot wire that runs hot on the ignition. They can also be wired into your blinkers and they'll change to orange. I don't have mine done because I didn't like that feature. This is from Summit. I get that question. They're Summit. They fit perfectly nice. They're from, I think they say 83 to 88, or 84 to 88, but they fit the 88 and the 90, or 89 and 90 just fine. I've never had any issue with it. It doesn't leak. I have a light out right now, but that's just because I put those on there, and I think I got a background over there. But other than that, it's been pretty sweet. I think it was like 200 bucks. Quick shipping. It came white. I painted it just to practice painting. In the back we got the just smoked tail lights. You want to come in and show the dash working and everything. All right, so this is a massive pain in the ass. I would rather pull my transmission 3 or 4 times over again than do this. It is not fun. You got to pull the whole dash out. It's very tight, and there's one bolt particularly at the very top up there that is very hard to get to. If you don't have a manual and you want to do that, I encourage you to do it, but it is very hard. I'll give you any advice you would like on that, but you have to match body styles. You can't pull an 88 or an 89 or a 90 and expect it to fit in 84. That's not the way it works. It has to match the body styles. There's a different steering wheel cut up under there or something that's just different. My original plan was to use one from an 86, and it didn't line up at all. So it was a gigantic waste of time. Then I went to a junkyard and pulled another one. So I've done that a couple times. I don't want to ever do it again. But yeah, that's my advice on that. This is my light panel. I think I got it off Amazon. It's pretty sweet. I will recommend it. I can drop a link if somebody really wants me to. You can set them up to strobe, all kinds of stuff. I have all my lights wired up on this, and they're all set up on individual fuses, which is all under the hood, and it's just ran with this one wire. So it was the cleanest way to do it that I found it to keep me being able to add accessories at my will. I have up to here used, and I have 4 extra still. So yeah, it's a really good product. Would recommend. I manual swapped it to the manual transfer case. When I did the manual swap, I I just preferred the manual transfer case. It was what I had when I was younger. And I like the look of it and everything else. I still left the buttons up there. I just unhooked the connector and deleted the wiring basically for it.
Go ahead.
The dash works. I don't have anything on it now. Let me put my key in, but all the lights work. Everything works like it's supposed to. You got the keys right here. Drop those in. So, you get the usual illuminations you should get. All right, so the only thing I do have a problem with is my tack over here is blown. That was a problem before I did the swap, and I haven't just found a good one yet at a junkyard. Every one I seem to pull just doesn't work great, so I've left that one in there. On gear. I've been running this tack right here for a while, and it seems to get the job done. And I don't mind it, so. Really enjoyed learning a lot about this car, but I never did another one of these. It would be too soon. On my own dime. They're very expensive swaps. Just because they're time consuming. If you're not doing it yourself, it's going to take somebody a long time to get through and go through all those diagrams and get everything smooth. It took me a very long time to get it this way. But I'm very proud of this and the way it looks and the way it's came along. I'm happy to take any criticism or comments on that. I plan on painting it dark blue soon, and that's about it. She'll be done after I get the Explorer rear axle sitting right there. Just gotta find time. Hard to do that when you pull transmissions all day. All right, so I just did a CarPlay screen. This connects with the phone, with the cord. I thought it was the wireless one when I bought it, but I kind of prefer the cord anyways because it keeps my phone charged. It does really well. It's got a reverse camera. I just didn't hook it up. I don't really use them with something like this when you have so much area to look out the back window. But it's a good radio. It's not giving me any problems. If anybody needs me to drop a link, I definitely will. Door panels I got off Rock Auto. But they fit up pretty nicely. They came with their own, all their own pins and stuff. Had the gray interior originally and the bench seat, which I was not a really big fan of. The center console right here is from an Explorer. I believe it was a 93. All right, so lift is a 5-inch BDS suspension lift that I got from Jeff's Bronco Graveyard. They didn't have them for a while. They're sold out after I bought it, but it's just basically a drop bracket in the front, which I plan on making a longer radius arm soon and getting rid of the drop bracket. But for now, I'm fine with it. This is mostly highway driving. I use it as a daily, and that was the concept when I built it. I didn't build it to be crazy. Brake lines, same place, Jeff's Bronco Graveyard, just extended brake line. Bumper, we got a, what was it, a Cherokee, yeah.
XJ.
An XJ bumper here, which we made work. It's about, I'd say about 1.5 inches too wide on each side that we had to go in and plate it up and weld it there. But just some hella lights ran to it, basic winch on there. Amazon headlights, like I said earlier. These are Patagonia Milestars. They're 31.5, about 15, 31.5, 1150, 1050. So 31 by 1050 R15. They've been pretty good, man. I thought they were vibrating for a while. Thought I got a bad set, but turned out I was chasing a wheel bearing issue, which I finally found. All right. So back here, we have the N2 Nitro Series shocks, B2, BDS lift kit came with it. It came with some like the blocks. I didn't really like the blocks. I felt like they were sketchy, and my leaf springs needed to be changed out anyway. So this is a leaf spring pack that is half of the Bronco II and added into an Explorer leaf spring pack. And it's off of a 95 Explorer. So it's a little bit beefier, and it gave me about, I'd say about 5 inches of lift when I did it. And I think I only replaced 2 of the plates in it with the Bronco. I just added 2 more plates for my Bronco. So it's basically just a heavy duty lift spring made at home to get rid of those blocks because I didn't like it. We got the drive shaft down there I ordered from Jags.
Start about the drive shaft.
All right, this is the drive shaft. It's basically just a double cardon up here. Ran this way. But I've tried to get my pinion angle as perfect as I can. Probably still make a little adjustment here and there every once in a while when I feel like I should, but honestly, the vibrations that I feel, I think they're all in my head at this point, because people that ride with me say I'm crazy. But basically got a lot of rust here, but it's just living here in Virginia where we're at. So everything that you don't put paint on or keep an eye on will rust, but it won't hurt it. All right, so front drive shafts, pretty sure came off an Explorer. It was on already. We have the Dana 35 up here. This is an M5 R1. I got it off a 94 Ranger, like $150 on Facebook. And then we have the manual transfer case, which I had already, which I just made it right up to it. Everything worked out good. New gasket, and then new fluids and put it in. Haven't had any problems with it. I went with a 4.0 flywheel, obviously, because it's 4.0. The 4.0 clutch, I used a 2.9 slave cylinder, because if not, you'll get some issues with the fitment up there. You can use the 4.0 one, but when you push the clutch in all the way, you're going to hear some clicking. And it's just not good. So yeah, don't do that. And then I have just a master cylinder ran up there. Like I said, I think this is off an Explorer, but it very well could be just stock Bronco II. I'm not positive. I know that this is a front end off an Explorer. This was done before I bought this one. I've done one of these, and it's not fun. It's a big pain in the ass, but it's worth it. Definitely gives you a bigger stance on the front. But if you're not doing the rear axle, your rear axle is going to suffer a good 4 inches probably of width compared to your rear, so you're going to stance really weird going down the road, unless you're into that, which is why I'm changing my rear axle. So other than that, stock cross members all the way around. I ran a Flowmaster, flow effects on it. Sounds really good. I'm happy with it. Everything else is pretty much stock to a Bronco II down here. All right, so right here is just to outline the headlight harness a little bit more. These wires right here, this connector was originally on the Bronco II. So these 3 connectors stayed. Your hot wire for your fuel pump is going to be this pink and black wire right here. You get that power, you should be good to go. These 2 right here are going to be for your VSS, and I can't actually, this is your ground, and these 2 are for your VSS right here.
What color?
The pink and orange. Yep, orange and pink, whatever that is, but color combination right there. And the gray and black.
That's consistent across years, or is that?
No, nothing's going to be consistent across years, guys. And this is the problem with people that ask these questions and ask for information on this. I can give you the resources that I do these things and how I do them when I do them. But the problem is Ford could have been changing something mid-year. I mean, the 95 is such a weird year because it goes from OBD1 to OBD2, and there's a lot of weird changes that they make mid-year because something happens in production, or they run out of a certain wire color at the factory, and they just make a joint decision and they'll change it. And this is a thing. this is a definite thing. I've seen the same years have different wires in different places when it comes to these connectors up here, especially the big one and your rear connection right there. So this is your main problem when you're doing this wiring, is this big plug. Your best job is to find all the wires and where they go, and I'll show you how I do that. But you have to make them match up, and it is extremely hard to do. It is not something that takes a couple of hours. It takes days, and it takes a lot of patience to get through there and make all the changes that you need. And there's a problem with the Explorer harness not having the slots for the tail lights coming out, so you got to kind of make your own pin there and pin it out, or you have to cut those wires and make a whole new connection, whatever you'd prefer to do in that situation. Mine is pinned to make it look factory as much as possible, because I wanted to make it as modular as possible. So if I needed to take anything off of it, I didn't have to cut wires that were hard ran or anything like that. Everything goes through the connectors that they were supposed to. And it is a big pain in the ass to do that. It takes a lot of time, and it takes... All right, so I get asked all the time, what do you need to do the swap? Besides the harnesses that we've already covered, and it depends on what you want to do, but you will at least, the very minimum, need these two books. This is very specific. This is the donor year, this is the receiving year. So in these books, you have very helpful things like the inline connector face for this massive pin, which belongs to this one. So what you would do is you would find the year, match your vehicles. You would find that pin out in both of these manuals. You would pin them out by following these numbers along with the colors. So there are multiple wires on these vehicles of the same color, depending on where they're located and what harness they're in. So you can't really depend on the wire color unless it's an obvious thing. So, for instance, let's go right here. On a Bronco II, you have multiple connectors, but each year is going to vary. You're going to have some that have the older connectors, and some that have newer connectors, and each one of them is going to have your computer pinout. These are the wires required to run your car. If you are facing problems, it is most likely within this harness, and this is a really picky ground that goes through it. You need to pin out this harness, which is in the book, but when you get older, I think pre-90 or around 90, you will not find this pin out in your books. You're going to have to physically go through and find the wires. This connector, it's called C105 on a Bronco II for the 1990, is not in this book. It's not in any book. There's no information on it anywhere. Ford chose not to provide it to us because they're lovely people. But I've asked a lot of questions, but you can find your pinouts for each thing. There's a major control point on these cars. Instrument cluster. So what you can do is you can confirm these circuits and make your own pinout sheet, as I did for my Bronco II. This won't work with yours. You have to physically do the work on this, or pay somebody a lot of money, like me or somebody else that's on this forum that knows what they're doing. There are a bunch of people on here that know what they're doing, but they're all telling you the same thing, that there is no shortcut here, and this is the truth. There is no shortcut here. you have to physically put a meaning to each wire. And this was like my starting point. And it got to a point of where I had everything matched up. I made my changes. I knew what I needed to do. I knew what mattered to my car and what I needed to make. And this is my C105. This is the connector I was just talking about, the big round plug right here. This is called C105 on a 90 Bronco II. On a Explorer, it's called C147F. So there's a big difference in what you're looking for and what you can, how you do things. So there's no shortcuts. The whole basis of this, you're gonna have to pin out your whole car. Unless you go in and you take out the dash harness and you do a full dash swap, you are in for a lot of wiring. There's no shortcut around it. You have to start from scratch every time you do one. If I do one for somebody, I have to physically go in and figure out what every wire does, because it is not same year to year. Yes, there are similarities. Yes, you can kind of figure stuff out off of that, but you're risking frying an ECU. You're risking not grounding something out. For instance, a big thing that was on mine was on the Bronco II. There's a ground wire that is in the middle of this, and it connects where this green wire is. This green wire on the Explorer powers your power seats. So if this is shooting power into your cab on your main cab ground, you will have a massive problem. Do you see how this is an issue and can fry your ECU? You have to make sure you do all these things. You have to make sure that you put in the work and the time to do this. I can send you information, but at the end of the day, my information is void and null unless you confirm it. I can send you a starting point, but that is all I can do. And that is the question of how do you do this, or will this line up, or will that line up? Nobody knows, honestly. This is a fresh swap, and if you're pulling any kind of harness that I've never used before, I don't know if it'll line up the same way mine does. I don't. I know what works with mine. I know how to make one work, and I know how to sit down and go through and what I have to purchase every time I do one of these. I have to buy the shop manuals. I have a 95 Explorer shop manual for the EVTM right there, and I have the shop manual on a CD because I didn't realize what I ordered, but I'm not paying twice for something. But I have this, and this is because it was my donor engine. And I still have the harness for this, and I one day will commit to pinning all this out. But it's an OBD2 harness, and it's a lot more difficult. But these books show you where all your grounds are. These books show you what is grounded where. If something's not working, you can find it, where it's spliced at, what connector it's spliced at. And you can go through, you can find the connector. You say C124M. Right there, and then you can go to the back of the book and find out where that is. Location and ready?
Yes.
All right, so say random page, whatever, power distribution. C147, that's going to be your main connector. That's your bulkhead, and that's because we know that because it tells us this. When we go back to our connectors, this is in real time, people. Okay. And it says C147F. We have the C147 male, and then we have the female. This is your in cab, out of cab. Okay, so we see what lines up at the C147. So now we can pin out, based off that, each one of these wires and what they do. This is your yellow to ignition switch. It connects on C147. So we can go back here and go yellow. Right there, pin 37. This is how you do this. You have to go through the whole thing. You have to find the connection points. It helps if you highlight them, but I don't like to ruin books, but I write them down as I go through on each page. So you have another one right here, C147. power distribution. This is from your oxygen sensors. This is from your 4-wheel ABS control module and your 4-wheel ABS relay. You have the C147 right here. This is going to pass through at C147. You have light blue, orange, light blue, and pink. So you would go back here, back to that page. I just lost for no reason. Where did it go, guys? So you come back here, and I said light blue and orange and light blue and pink. So you would find light blue and orange and light blue and pink. Light blue and orange, light blue and pink, light blue and pink. 601, light blue and orange, 767. So you got a star right here, right? And this is going to tell you, you got a base vehicle and you got electronic group. This is what I was trying to tell somebody online the other day. If there are different packages on the car, there are different wire colors that matter. And they matter because on the electronic group, some of them are speakers or like extra headlights or whatever it is that they required in that pack, fog lamps, power seats, things like that, that will not line up the same on every single connector. And there's no way to really differentiate that until you pin out your connector. This was not something that Ford designed for us to do, guys. So they didn't make it easy. This is something that you have to start from scratch on every time. Even if, I mean, if I would not assume that if I did the same thing on the same exact way, a 90 to 94 harness, I would naturally assume that there's going to be differences on it because it's just the way it is. I don't think that the quality control in Ford was that great then, and that's nothing to talk shit on the people that made these cars. I love these cars, but I think on a Friday, somebody might have put a wire in the wrong place and said, fuck it. As long as it matched on the, or screw it, whatever you want to say. But I think if it matched on their little diagram and they made it work, they didn't care. I've seen some of these cars with insane electrical problems because somebody's done some weird wiring in there. When I first did my swap, my alternator wouldn't work. And it was because somebody had hardwired the alternator into a connector somewhere, and I'd splice open all of my whole wire loom, which I've done on this wire for somebody else that I'm helping out with their swap. I had to literally go through their whole wire loom to make sure whatever changes somebody had made on it wouldn't fry my ECU or get me stranded on the side of the road somewhere. I mean, I put probably 6,000 miles on this car since I've done this swap, and I've had barely any issues other than an IAC problem at one point. And that was just an IAC valve not working right. But and we'll go over that in a different time in the video. But basically, this is how you do this. You find your connectors, find their location. So you would have C118 female, and you would go back here to the book. You find the connector guide, where is it? Location index, and they have them in order up here. Where was it? Back. All right. So we would find C118. All right. So C118, we would find the connector number. So we have C118 right here. We have left-hand front corner of engine compartment near washer reservoir. Or you can find the page zone, which will show you a picture of where it's at, 151.2, connector 10, or C10. Connector page is 153. So that's going to tell you where the pinout is, if it has a pinout. If it doesn't have a pinout, you're going to have to figure it out on your own. Black is the color of it, and it's an 8-pin terminal. So we're gonna go find it, 153, right? Yep. And it is 151.2 C10. So we would go back here, we would go to 151.2 as our page number. Right here, 151.2, we would find C, and we would go over to 10. And that is C118 right there. Get the zoom to work right. Hang on a second. All right. C118 right there. So this is your connector right here. So there you can find that connector. You can go to the connector page, which is 150 tack 2. So you go up here to 150 tack 2. And this is where we started at, right? Is it where we started? Yeah, that's where we started at. Anyways, and then you have your pinouts right here. So you have gray and yellow, gray and red, red, light blue, yellow, orange, yellow, pink, and yellow. So you can take this information, and you have your circuit, the number next to it. This is a very important number. These have to match when you're tracing wires. So that's how you pin things out. You chase it from the connector. You find where the connector meets into your main your main inline connectors. You would find where it would meet into these. You'd make your changes on these, and then you would have your fuel pump, your AVS system, and you'd have to wire your own reverse lights / brake lights, tail lights, blinkers for the rear if you're pulling it from an Explorer. And that's because the body harness on the Explorer that runs inside the cab has all of that in it. It does not come back out of the cab like it does a Bronco II or a Ranger. Ranger, if you're doing a swap from a Ranger and you're using a Ranger's wiring harness, that will have those wires inside of it. I believe the Sport does, but I don't know that for a fact. If somebody else could confirm that, that would be wonderful. But I know for a fact the 4-door versions of these, they do not have any of the taillight wiring, fuel pump wiring, any of that stuff. None of it comes back out of the cab like it does on a Bronco II or on a Ranger. That's something to think about if you're going to pull this harness for the swap. It's very easy compared to the Explorer to use a Ranger harness, just because those things are already done to the harness and you're not having to actually go in, drill a little hole, and make a pin. Okay, shop manuals. This is your shop manual. There's 2 versions of these, 1 and 2. This is going to give you a little bit of your electrical. It's going to teach you how it all works. It teaches you where the locations of everything is. It has bolt sizes, breakdowns of every piece on this car. It's not going to be very effective once you switch the engine. So, I mean, this is something that's really nice to have if you're going to keep it a stock one. It's also got an engine and chassis portion. This is going to break down the engine for you. This does have a 4.0 in it. This is one of the reasons I still use it, is because it does have the 4.0 included, because the 1990 Ranger came as the 4.0 too. So, and it's also got the Aerostar broken down too. The Aerostar is also a good donor. I've never done the wiring harness from an Aerostar, but I would think that the Aerostar engine would work just fine if you could get it up a wire, if you could source your own wiring harness from an Explorer or Ranger. There seems to be a lot more of those available at junkyards, just that are untampered with altogether. The problem you're going to get in past 95, like I discussed earlier, is OBD2. I did buy this originally. I did intend to do an OBD2 conversion on it at some point, but I'm not sure about that. That's a really different process, and the pinouts. This is way more detailed than the 94, but there's a lot more going on in this. It was way easier for me to switch harnesses and get away from all the vacuum stuff and everything that's used to make this 4-wheel drive system work, alongside of all the extra electrical stuff inside the cab and all that stuff. The connectors are not the same. You're going to meet a lot of challenges doing this. It's something I would like to do eventually, but not anytime soon. These are useful, but the wiring diagrams are not very detailed. So you cannot use these to do this. This does not give you, this gives you a billion times more information than these do. These can give you some basic, includes wiring diagrams, and they do. They're helpful for quick referencing stuff and double checking something. But honestly, these are not very useful. I wouldn't waste the money. What I would do if I were you is get a copy of these. There's a lot of source material on the Ranger station, Bronco Corral. I didn't really ask questions when I did this. I did a lot of research on it over a year. When I decided I wanted to do mine, I went full on in with it because I just got laid off of my job. So I needed a distraction, and I devoted probably a month and a half fully to it. Rebuilt the engine myself before it went in, and I've never been happier with something I built. I'll never sell it. It's very it's a very overwhelming project. I literally changed jobs after this. Because I got so into this, I became a mechanic, and it's the way it is. This is not an easy project. A lot of people sell this that it can be done in a weekend, and it can if you're a mechanic. If you have the mechanical background, if you've done one of these before, or you've rewired cars, sure, it can be done in a weekend if you want a makeshift version of it. But you're gonna have problems. Like I think one of the guys said in one of the comments when I originally posted this video, or the idea for this video, every one of these cars is different. There's no way to do this the same way over and over again. Every way you're starting from scratch, and the 84s to 87s, or the 84 to 88s, are completely different from the 89 and 90. 89 and 90 is by far the easiest ones to do the swap on. The 84 to 88, I would honestly drop it. I would do a 302 in. If I was going to do that, I would completely gut the wiring, do all the EFI thing, and do that. That would be the way I'd do it. Just because you're getting into a lot of stuff there. I know there's a lot of write-ups on it. I'm more better at the 89 and 90. I have no doubt that I could do one of those, but I would, if I was doing it personally for myself, I would definitely do the 302 and face wiring in a dash instead. Just a couple of things I want to go over on the 2.9, because we get a lot of questions about these online. This is your IAC valve right here. You got your throttle position sensor right here. IAC valve, you're having problems with idling, could be one of these two, right? TFI module. See this for a second. These two bolts back here. A lot of people replace these with screws, is what I found. I'm trying to get a good angle in there. But they're 5.5 millimeter. And you have to kind of shave the socket down, or grind it down, or get a very, very thin walled socket to get them out. Ford made a special tool for them. You can order the special tool. We're going to talk a little bit more about this thing in just a second. It's your distributor, obviously. Your intake air temp right here. Your coolant temp sensor. This is your oil pressure sensor, and this is your oil level relay sensor. Okay? So, and also EGR valve. I delete these off every one of them I get. They just cause problems, and your exhaust is always going to leak. You can try and keep it. I put it on the 4.0. I wish I wouldn't have. I wish I would have got a different harness without that. These guys, TFI module. Right here. So this is all different brands. I've tried several different brands. I bought cars with brands that I've never even heard of them on. The only way to go with these guys is Motorcraft, 100%. I know you could probably say, I mean, the one that's on mine was a United. I didn't put that one on there. It came on it and never gave me problems, and I never fought with it. So I really believe the only way to go with these things is straight Motorcraft, and you want to use a good amount of heat sink, and I'll keep one in my glove box at all times, especially if you find an extra one. Relays. I have an extra harness right here, so I'll grab it. There's 3 different colors. There's brown right here. This is your computer ECU relay. You have your green fuel pump relay and the black. This is for wide open throttle and your AC clutch. All right. If you're having fuel problems, fuel pump can't cut on, always check this first, and then back check this afterwards. This controls this, and this controls your fuel pump. So if this isn't working, then this can't turn your fuel pump on, and if this isn't working, this can't turn this on to turn your fuel pump on. Okay? That's a really easy fix for a lot of cars right here. Last thing I want to do, this is kind of what I was referring to when I was saying some cars are a little different. This is a fully loaded one, as we would say, or an XLT Eddie Bauer. It's going to have the automatic locks, automatic windows. This doesn't go in the cab. It goes out into the engine bay and makes a connector up by your headlights on them. So if this isn't existent on yours, and you have the manual windows because you got a lower package or a special order from the factory, whatever, then you won't have these wires in your thing. They won't be out. So you won't have to chase these kind of problems. The manual windows are going to be easier for that reason. You're not trying to force all these things to work. So if you have manual locks and manual windows, it's definitely going to be easier to get all your stuff inside your cab working as it goes along. Just an added note on all this. And yeah, so I think we covered pretty much as I can cover in a video without it being insanely long. And it already is a little insanely long. But like I said, these 2 books, you can't do it without these 2 books. You cannot do it without these 2 books. These books help. These 2 books are essential. And you obviously need a good OBD1 code reader. You don't want to be counting lights for the rest of your life. This gives you all the ways to read codes. It gives you, running codes, continuous memory codes, and your just key on codes. So you can plug in your connector, get a good reading on whether or not you're getting signal to a lot of things that way. All right, so appreciate all the interest and all the questions. Going forward, I'd really like everybody to kind of reference this video, or at least kind of go on the ranger station before they reach out to me, just because I do have a job, I have a family, I have kids, and I got a lot of projects to do. I mean, it's dark out there, but there's probably 12 cars in that garage, or 12 cars in the yard. So I appreciate all the support I've gotten on the forums, and I appreciate everybody taking interest in these cars and keeping them on the road, and that's all I'm about. So if y'all need anything, reach out.